In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create these X scale notches on our X scale nicely, where we can put in 1, 2 multiples, how many we want on a specific point. And so to do this, the first thing what we need is our border template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to have the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page, and of course, got a question, put it on Discord. So let's start to work on doing this. The first thing what I want to do here is convert this into a scatter chart. I already had this data here, but anyway, what I need to do then, of course, is adjust this here. I'm going to say x3, y3. I'll just copy this. 1, 2, all right. Then say here for the y will be 6, and this one will be 3, and here we can say 6 and 9. Save, refresh, there we are. So we have these here. But what I want is basically the notches here down. I'm going to scroll down here, and then we just say here, for the X scale, we should also begin at 0. Comma, save, refresh. There we are, that looks perfect. So what I want to do now is create a notch here somewhere at between 4 and 5. So what I'm going to do here, I'll say a comma, plugins, and then I'm going to say here, X scale notch, copy, and then I'm going to say a constant. This will be the ID of that, and then we're going to say here, before we draw the data sets, we will draw this notch here. So it's arc, chart, arcs, and plugin options. Then what I want to do here is an object destructuring. Say here ctx comma scales, and I'll probably need here only the X scale, so just do that one, and say this will be equal chart. So now we have this. The next thing I want to do here is say ctx.save to save all variables above. Then I'm going to say here the following. I want to put in a few things. So what we need is we have to draw the position of it. So we need a few things here. Well, let's start to do the very basic here. We're going to say first of all, what's the color? I'm going to say ctx.stroke style, because we're going to work with drawing lines. And in here I will use the standard color RGBA 102 102 102 comma 0.5, which is the standard color that the grid chart is using. So that's number one. The next thing, because we're going to draw a line, we're basically drawing a shape. So we need to say here ctx.begin path to avoid any bleed over from any other parts or to any other parts. So once we've got this, the next thing we can say here now is start to give it a proper position. So we're going to say ctx.move to, and what I will do here is we're going to get the position of, let's say, 4.5. So what we're going to say here, because we have the x here, we can use a easy built-in function. So x.getPixel for value, and then we can say here this will be 4.5, comma, and then here we have the y value, and the y value will just be the X scale top, basically just a line at the very top. So we say here x.top, that's the coordinate. Once we have that, we're going to say here ctx.line to, and then we're going to do a few things here. So what I want to do is from here or here somewhere, we're going up and then we're going back down like a notch. It's basically like a triangle going up and down. That's it. So we're going to say here we can probably get this same coordinates here, and we do some adjustments. So now we have to draw the line going up. So first of all, I want to, because I'm here, I want to move maybe a few pixels. Well, certainly a few pixels to the right side. Let's say we're going to say here plus 5 pixels to the right, and then we make a spike going up. We say here minus 10 pixels for going up and down. And the reason why minus, because here is 0, this is the farthest away of 0. So if I'm going up, I need to negative the value to go up. So now we have that. And let's see if we can maybe make a visual. So say ctx.stroke to draw the line and save that. Refresh. All right, so if you're seeing it here very not really that clear, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to copy this. And for now, let's make this red. And then let's say here ctx.line width equals 3 pixels. Save, refresh. There we are. So I have a very thick line. It's easy to spot right now. So now what I want to do is just doing the same thing, another line that's connected. Going down here and say here, we want to go even further now, 10, but we want to go back down to the very X scale line here. Save that, refresh, there we are. So now we have that, and I think that's good enough. We can now move that back into 1, and I'm just going to hide this, put that in there. Save, refresh. If you look very carefully, you still see here this grid line at the bottom. So what I want to do is I want to hide that by making this area basically a white space. So what I'm going to do here is going to create a new shape first. There's a small simple rectangle. Well, I can just copy this, begin path. Then say ctx.fill style to make it a white shape. Then I want to say ctx.fill rectangle, and this fill rectangle will get these positions here. So say let's grab this position. We can probably say here, putting that, and then what I want to do here, this rectangle here. Well, let's make this black first so you can see it. So this is for the x coordinate. Then we have here comma the y coordinate, and then the width and the height. So what I want to do here for the width, I guess we can just grab here the x top, but I want to make sure we don't only touch the x top. I want to be 1 or 2 pixels below it so we can cover this line, the border line. So say here plus 2 pixels. So just 2 pixels down from that point. Then what I want to do is I will just say here it should be a 10 pixel rectangle. Let's save that. Let's say here I think that should be fine. Save, refresh. Oh, I guess we are slightly too high. So what I can do here is maybe we do a -8. So we're 8, a bit higher. There we are. So now we're covering everything what needs to be covered. I guess you could even make it more narrow, but that is fine. Make this white, save, refresh. So this starts to look quite nice. We have the white space as well. So what I would like to do next is, because you can imagine there will be maybe more notches on here. So this here is all quite nice, but this is a hard-coded value. I want to soft-code this and make sure if we have more than 1 notches or another notch that we can put it in there. So what I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to say here comma. I'm going to put in here plugins, and in the plugins here I'm going to use this X scale notch ID because that's now accessible, and then we can put in here basically additional information. So we could say here position, and the position would be maybe a 4.5. Let's first make sure that this works. So this here will be readjusted, and we're just going to say here this will be the value of the position instead. So what I'm going to do here is we have this white space, and then we have here the drawing of this. So in here I'm going to say constant, and we're going to say here position, and the position will be this value that we assigned, but this here will now be soft coded, and this soft code will be basically the X, this point here. So how do we do that? Well, we can say your plugins, because it knows where to go. It has to go into the plugins, searching for this ID, and as it does, so we're going to say a dot. We don't have to put in the ID name because it understands that this is part of this specific plugin ID. And then we're going to grab here the position that we just assigned. Let's put that in there. Then I'm going to copy this, put it in here, put this in here, put it in here, and here. Let's save that, refresh, and you can see the same is working here just now, soft coded. Let's say if I have a 5.5, save, refresh, there we are. So what happened if you have another one? For example, let's create an array, comma, and maybe I want to have one on the 2.5 and the 5.5. So now we're dealing with an array. So let's start to, because if we do this right now, of course it will not work because it doesn't recognize an array. So what I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to make a for each loop for this. So what we can say here, we're going to grab this position, we'll understand that this is an array, we're going to say a for each, and then for each here, for every point or position, let's call it position, and it's an index, we're going to loop through this. So we're going to grab all of this, cut, put in here, and then have this all properly indented. And this one, of course, will not be based on the plugin anymore, but on the individual data point in that array that we have assigned. So if I save this now, refresh, we should have here now 1 and 2. There we are. Let's put another one between there. Let's make it 3.5, save, refresh, and now we have one 2.5, 3.5, and 5.5, and that's it.